absolutely.
So, a little tougher subject as we conclude here. You and I were talking a little bit earlier about this call right now to defund the police.
Oh, yes.
And again, understanding that things have happened that weren't handled correctly, and lives got lost and should not have happened. But do you think the solution is just pulling out our law enforcement from our cities and counties?
Well, yeah, like we talked about, we know the answer is no. I mean, we don't defund the police and we don't get rid of the police departments. Absolutely, what happened in Minneapolis was appalling.
Awful.
I don't think you can find one police officer that's in this profession that will argue against it. Misuse of, it's not even misuse of force. This is where that was just gross.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
So to defund the police departments, I don't believe most of society believes that. Even from a law enforcement perspective, the defunding of police makes no sense because we do play a role in maintaining the social or the law and order, protecting and serving. Many people won't do the job that we do, and we save far more people than are hurt as a result. Tragedies happen. Any loss of life, regardless of the situation, is a tragedy, whether it's at the hands of anybody, let alone us. I've had a lot of conversations with my staff over the last couple of weeks, and whether we like it or not, the reality is we are held to a higher standard than many other professions. I might argue most, but the community society looks at us and says, no, you should be able to do all these things, right? And it's our responsibility to do our best to rise to those level of expectations. Are we perfect? No. Will we make mistakes along the way? Absolutely. But if we continue to strive for those expectations that our community has for us, that's what we have to do. And so the defunding of it, again, I get it, the rhetoric that's a part of that, right? The reality is, as social programs have been cut funding-wise and from the federal government, the state government, even to some expense for some counties, right, even at the county level.
Right.
And from larger cities, these social programs get cut. Why? Never tell you. I have my own personal feelings on that, right? But when they get cut, the typical group, typical department that has to fill that void is law enforcement. As mental health has been cut, other health and human services, all those things, as those things get cut and services get reduced on those topics, it's assumed that law will take over, right? That we will be the ones to solve it with no extra funding, certainly not consistent funding, no extra personnel to manage it,
no specialized training,
no equipment. Again, specialized training. It's okay. We go to 8 hours of training on certain things, right?
Right.
So that
Doesn't
ongoing
make you
training.
a mental health expert able
Right.
to diagnose what's going on.
Right. It's like we're not doctors. I mean, people argue it's like, well, doctors go to, they go through training and school and residency for years before they become a doctor. You're right. And part of that, I mean, from what I know of doctors, right, that's what it takes you for a specialty. But we get thrown 8-hour trainings, we get thrown equipment, we get thrown to handle all sorts of societal issues that have never been solved, right? Homelessness it's been around since man has been around. It hasn't been solved. Pick all these different topics. We're not the experts in it. We're just the first responders to it. And it's our job to try to bring these things to calmness. So, in theory, the experts can come in and deal with it. This is where we started talking earlier about community policing.
Wrapping back around to the community.
Back around to the community policing concepts. It's like, I get it. It's like, hey, we call you to go deal with it. Hey, bring it under. But when we don't get extra funding, we don't get extra services, we don't get extra personnel, we don't get it. There's no magic piece of equipment to deal with this stuff. So where I see this, and it's not defunding the police departments, but refunding some of these social service programs at the lowest level possible, meaning the local governments, the cities and the counties. I know what my community needs, right? The county doesn't necessarily know what my city needs. They know a little bit better because they're closer. The state certainly doesn't know what my community needs. And I get it, we're Auburn, right? 15,000 population, but we're Auburn of 15,000 people. that all have different needs. And so we should be able to have the funding for these programs at our lowest level where we need them, right?
So it sounds, and which makes great sense if we have the magic wand, is really bringing the funding into the communities, partnering with law enforcement, mental health, advocacy groups, and engaging in the different cultures even.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, even here in Auburn, we have different cultures. We even have, I believe, a reservation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And there's different needs. So I think bringing that all together would seem way more logical and more beneficial.
It would absolutely because the benefits would be right here in our own backyard, right? I mean, and we've talked about that. I mean, again, the homelessness is a perfect example. The more services that are cut, and it's not just homeless services, but it's also legislation that has been made to do these things.
Yes.
I mean, we can argue the different laws, how we got here and everything else, but those attributed to some of the stuff. I mean, again, reducing, making, the discussion of, well, being a drug addict shouldn't be a crime and they need help. It's like, absolutely they need help, but they need specialized help. And they need to be, again, whether or not you want to call it accountability, but they have to be kind of led to that help.
Right.
And when they're ready, they'll get it. If they're not ready, they're not going to do it on their own. And so it's going to take time to build that rapport.
And even if you make a really good point, when somebody is ready to either rehabilitate from drug addiction or mental health issues, a lot of them don't know where to go.
Right.
So by bringing the community together with law enforcement, I think it gives that avenue of, here they are, here are the services. Same for many crime victims, as
Sure.
you know. Many of them don't know where to go, and that's why we've started this, and appreciate partnering with you because you've been a great reach out for us. Again, so that they can get the mental health, so they don't turn to drugs.
Right.
And I just listened to some parents the other day, and it just broke my heart. The daughter's best friend was murdered, and they didn't know where to go for services, and it turned out she's now spent 3 years hooked on self-medicating.
Right.
Because there was nobody there to direct them. And I think
Yep.
that's the big push that we're trying to put together, and partnering with you, partnering with the different agencies in the state to put together this clinic, so at least they can call or go, and say, where can I get some of these resources? And
It's not.
so
And some of the stuff that people are talking about, reality, I mean, still exists. I mean, to pretty significant extents. Like a lot of the South is very much. So I mean, it's one of these things. I mean, I hear people. Here yes, we're very progressive in that stuff. The knee-jerk reaction by people is unfortunate. Like I said, for the carotid control, it's like that doesn't make sense. But we've done it to ourselves, right? I mean, I was on a conference call for Cal chiefs yesterday, and some chiefs are like, "Yeah, well, we've already banned it, and yeah, we already made it deadly force, so it really doesn't matter to us anyways." And then you have some chiefs like, "Well, but it matters to me because we use it all the time." He's like, "I used it 31 times last month, and guess what? Not one person died as a result."
right, because it was done.
Because it was done right. And so when you have 300 plus chiefs all doing things, because we have to match the needs of our communities, which is great. But it's like we're not having that dialogue early, or we're just letting something happen. Then that's shame on us. And the body camera stuff, the outcry for the body cameras and the dash cams. It's like, I mean, we've been through this stuff before. It's like, if you want us to have all that stuff, then pay for it, right?
Definitely, I would agree.
But then it's the other flip side to that too is, what about the other people's privacy? I mean, I was having this conversation with some people. They're like, "Well, you should always wear the body cams." I'm like, "Well, the cops now, right? I'm here. Everybody's got a body camera, and they have discretion on when they turn it on. These are the times they should, but other people have the right to privacy until the state and the feds say, you're not going to make certain things available, right?" I mean, I've been in a lot of homes where it was not pretty. And it's like, you want me to record that? And at some point in time, that'll be available to the public? How rude. I mean,
it is. It's people's.
So.
Or you're arriving on the scene of a domestic violence or a rape. I mean, you're right. It's an absolute right to privacy.
Wants that. But, you get people who, again, short-sighted. The response is like, well, I would give up my freedom if it protects them.
Yeah, right.
Well,
wait till it happens.
Right, and that's the thing. It's what they don't know and the way they don't look at it. And so, Yeah. So I mean, as we're going through that stuff, we already do that stuff, and that's my response. We're all, we have this other case going on, the Dalton Tire case. I know the backstory to all that stuff. I'm fine, and as a result, again, you have people out there kind of playing a little under the belt a little bit because they can. And so it's like telling my staff, it's like, no, everything we do, again, it goes back to the expectation of us, right? And we have to rise to that level of high expectations.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
but again, I mean, the community, but I think your original question was, how do you help? Again, it's just a continued support.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, there's nothing, we had that group come in, drop off all this stuff, not yesterday, but the day before, and Shannon Wheeler, and that's what, she asked me again, she's like, what can I do? I'm like, this stuff is this makes us feel good, right? This is what makes us know that our community supports us and everything else.
Okay.
That's the stuff that happens. I mean, you guys doing the dinner for everybody, and again, that's the stuff that,
Okay.
that's what matters. I mean, because we know we're doing a good job. I know we have a great department. We have a lot of great people that are trying to do their best. But I will tell you, I also know we have a culture here in Auburn that created some of this. I mean, I got a letter from someone from after all this stuff started. She sent me a real letter. I opened it up. She's like, I have to tell you, how disappointed I am. I always supported Auburn PD and everything else. And she goes to tell me about a story from 2007 that her ex-husband was involved in and the way he was treated and everything else. And she's like, well, I never knew that until now. And so I've kind of, I've lost, for lack of a better term, I lost faith in APD. And it's like, I mean, part of me is like, I want to defend it, right?
Right.
It's like, nobody knows, you can't tell me, you don't know what the officer was thinking, you don't know these things. I get it, you're biased too on what you think transpired, but at the end of the day, I'm like, no, you know what, I'll own it. I'll just say, you know what, I'm sorry. I mean, I certainly think no doubt we can do better. It's unfortunate that an incident from 13 years ago, though, is going to really
change your opinion,
negatively impact the way you see Auburn PD now. So I mean, I hear it. Most people just want to be heard right now.
Right.
And, again, and it's really, it's kind of navigating through the people who are just truly mouthpieces and just they're part of today's rhetoric versus those people who truly have been affected by cops, right, on the negative side of it. And it's listening to that group, which is a far quieter group.
They are.
It's
very, just kind of like with the whole rioters and stuff. I sit there and think it is such a small fraction of the whole United States, but they just get so much, and so then it goes farther and farther
Absolutely.
and farther. And it's
I
like,
mean,
oh my God.
It's no different than victims, right?
Right.
Victims are quiet. Victims do, I mean, again, that's part of being the victimization of it, right? I mean, you're forced into this corner and forced to be quiet, forced not to say anything. It's not until, someone who will help you out of that,
Right.
that you finally, move on. And they're no different. I mean, whether or not they're truly victims of us or just poor customer service, some of that is just, it's a poor customer service. It's, a cop showing up and not taking their call seriously, right? Or being flippant about it. It's like, yeah, whatever. Oh, I'm dealing with this over here. Less you, more them. It's like, but people are only care about them. Most people, it's like, they're very, it's about them, right? So it's like you have to make every situation, you have to take advantage of that, right? And that's how you build that customer service. Big thing I'm preaching to the guys right now is this kind of this goodwill bank concept, and it's every time you come in contact with somebody, you have an opportunity to make deposits into this goodwill bank. Someday we're going to make a withdrawal, right?
Yes, inevitably, like you say, something happens.
Something's going to happen, but every day if you have an opportunity to make a deposit, however small, we'll continue to fill that bank up, right? Because someday, like I was telling someone today, I was like, not our fault, but Minneapolis created us to take a withdrawal from that goodwill bank.
Oh God, yeah.
I was like it or not, right? It's like we didn't do it, but someone else did it for us, and guess what? We just made a withdrawal.
You're paying the price right now.
And so now it's our job to refill this bank.
Exactly.
In another conversation with somebody else, I'm like I told her, I was like, look, when I got here, we had our goodwill bank was probably
It was pretty low, I think.
and probably zeroed out. But I think we've done a very good job at building this goodwill bank and getting this stuff out there and talking about it. But there is part of our community that we have a hole in this bank, and it's never filled up. It doesn't matter what we do. I mean, the first thing we got to do is fix that hole.
No, you're smart. You're on board.
And so it's been fun. I mean, the challenges are again. I mean, it's been, been a long few weeks with everything that's gone on. And it's not just this, but I mean, COVID. I mean, we're up against dealing with the COVID stuff, and that's the thing is cops get, people are too, right? I mean, you spent 3 months in COVID. Everybody's like, oh, we love our cops. You guys are out there and doing all this other stuff. And all it took was
an incident.
8 minutes and 46 seconds. I mean, it goes back to people. I mean, a lot of great cops, smart cops, hardworking people. Not just the cops. I mean, obviously I highlight that, but I mean, we have a great dispatching group. We have our community service officers that are, working and eager to continue to do the job. So we're in a good place here, and that's what makes us nice, right? I mean, and this is. Again, I mean, anecdotally, I believe that this is most of America here.
I would.
Right? I mean, what you see on Facebook.
It's kind of like what I said about the protesters, the violent protesters.
You're spot on. It's most of America is having these conversations right now. Most of America has had the peaceful protests, which are great. And most places have a great relationship with their community. Some cities don't. And it is what it is. But it's, again, a lot of people have asked me for a couple of years now, though. It's like, just this law enforcement, why do you do it? It's like, well, these are all that I do because it's, again, a noble profession. I know why I'm here. I'm here to protect those that can't protect themselves. And I know that there are more good people out there than bad.
Exactly. It's always a fraction.
But the good people and what they're doing typically it's not what you see, right? Because it's, from a media perspective, doesn't sell.
It's not exciting.
So it is what it is. So it's our responsibility to join forces with yourself and the Crime Victims United to get that information out there.
Yeah, no, definitely. We'll work with you. And speaking on that, we're going to start that drive. We're decided we're going to run the drive for the kits starting right after Thanksgiving to Christmas.
Oh, perfect.
And then have them ready for you the first of the year.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that works.
So they'll be able, you can just hand them out and they'll have everything in there for whether it's adult or child victim.
And like we talked about, it's like where our job stops is where we need everybody else to step up and step in. That's what Crime Victims United has done since the beginning.
Trying. Like you, it said it's challenges, but I think we'll get there.
Oh, yeah.
So we got a good team, good environment. So I'm working with people like you, and Devin's been great to work with, and Ron Lawrence. I love that man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have a great, this area, in this region, we have a very professional group of law enforcement police departments.
I think most of California does. And like you said, it's a forward-thinking group. And that really and truly gets missed, I think, at how forward-thinking California can be in its policies and practices.
It does. And there's a lot of places see these, are experiencing these other things. Even to, when people start talking about different aspects of it, it's like, the reality is there are cities that use the police department to collect money and feed the general fund. California doesn't do that. People argue, it's like, you write all these tickets, you make all this money. It's like, no. We actually get a very small fraction of that. The rest of it goes to all these other programs. So it's, it's one of those things, but it's education. And, our job is unique where we haven't really taken that education piece to its next level, probably, right? Because this is where we'd all need some type of PR director.
I think,
someone walking down, it's like, okay, well, today I want to get the information about, tickets. Folks, when you get a ticket, here's the breakdown. Right? So, and when you tell people that, they're shocked. They're like, really? Like, you don't get all this money? It's like, no.
No, the state takes it.
The state gets all. And it goes to all these different programs. And they're just like, oh, and even funding. It goes back to, our conversation about refunding some of these other programs. Obviously we're working at, looking into the the use tax measure here in the city. But I've done my research all of a sudden, and it's like, so we all pay 7 1/4 sales tax. Some places a little higher. But the city only gets 1 cent. The state gets 6 of that.
Right.
So I would love to see the state kick us all back 1%, 1 cent of this 7 1/4 to give us, whatever that. I was having this conversation with someone. Imagine the advocacy groups that we could support, bring in, the different community groups that we could actually bring in-house with another cent given back to the
You know,
city.
you hit something really key on the head that I think it should go back to the locals, because the locals know their communities. And having the state come in, it's even like with this whole COVID thing, which just drove me crazy about the state saying, well, you can't some communities did it right, and we can reopen a lot faster, or maybe never even needed to shut down, really.
Right.
And so it's like the Big Brother thing when the state did that versus just trust the locals. I mean, and that's kind of the principle of our Constitution is you're supposed to trust local government.
Right. And that's exactly it. I mean, imagine what we could do
Right.
if we were to get another cent back, not raise it anymore, but get another cent back.
Right. And
Think
feed back into your
back
community's
into our
needs.
community. And right, so
Because
we
our
can
needs are so markedly different than the Bay Area or
Sure.
Los Angeles. Our culture's so different.
Yeah.
But yet it gets mandated like it's all one.
Right, and this huge state is, I mean, we have a lot of different cultures here,
Yes.
right? Every city has its own unique needs. That's what makes them different. I mean, the San Franciscos, the Sacramentos, the LAs, and then you have a lot of
Rural.
You have a lot of
completely
Auburns,
different.
which is we have different needs, and it's different levels. So it's kind of like give me another cent back in that sales tax
And see the difference.
and see what see the difference that we could do.
I agree.
So.
So I really thank you for your
No,
time.
Kim, thanks for
We're
having me.
So blessed in Auburn to have you as chief and be so engaged in our community.
Well,
so thank you.
I'm fortunate to be here and have a community that's very supportive of us. So thanks again for having me, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
You.